Hey there, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
How you doing?
So let me tell a little story about living in the middle of nowhere.
This just happened.
Well, yeah,
We're still furious about it.
I'm still.
Yeah.
So as I think we've mentioned that two of our ferals had babies.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks apart. We brought the first batch in. I don't think we talked about that because that's happened since the last episode. We brought the first batch in, which is 3 kittens, and they're just fine and playful and not
so cute.
Least bit worse for the wear.
No.
For the move. So these were ones that were out in a shed. We had a second one a couple weeks after these give birth in the garage in a corner. Now, let me explain the garage quick.
Oh, dear.
It is just full of shit. Just junk fucking everywhere. It's stuff that belonged to Danny's grandparents. It's stuff that needs to get gone through. And anyway, long story. So we walked out, getting ready to come down and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we walk in, and Eggnog is her name.
The cat's name.
Yeah, we just call her Nog. She's growling, and there's all this shit going on back in the fucking corner. It's really hard to see.
It is. It's not a well-lit garage.
I happened to look, and she was losing her shit because a raccoon had come in. Now, up until about 9 o'clock or so, we leave the door open. It's an unattached garage.
Mm-hmm.
So we leave the door open so she can come in and out to use the bathroom and, just kind of. And then we also put the food in there, and the other cats.
Mm-hmm.
They actually like going in there better than eating it anywhere else. But, so anyway, saw that fucking raccoon. It's growling. She's losing her shit, and the poor kittens are, I don't know what's going on.
The raccoon wars have been going on for
2 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, over 2 years.
Yeah. So anyway, ran into the house, grabbed my crossbow that I just got back yesterday. That thing's been gone for weeks and weeks and weeks. Had to have it restrung. Didn't even get a chance to try it out, So anyway, ran, grabbed the quiver, came out, cocked it, loaded it. And this fucking thing had moved behind some shit. And there was, what is that? 5 inches opening?
Yeah.
And it was kind of it was not easy.
No, it was a small target. I was like, you're going to hit the generator.
Yeah, maybe. I knew I could get it. So I took a shot through the head, pinned it to the wall. Mm-hmm. So the crossbow is in fine shape because these are cheap ass field bolts, right?
Yeah.
But it survived going into that tips of it are still in there because I had to clip the shafts. But anyway, I was so fucking mad because I'm so sick of these fucking disease infested the raccoon population around here is highly rabid. Mm-hmm. And here's the problem. You can't live catch these things and release them somewhere because that's the shit that will get you shot.
Yeah.
They're for 30 miles in any direction. Everyone, even, like RC, the guy who, plows the driveway in the winter, he kills like 15, 20 a year.
Yeah.
But he's got a massive burn pile. I mean,
we got to add one to our tally, I guess.
Oh, yeah, for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, you can't catch and release. Nobody wants them. In fact, they just sort of off the record say just dispose of them.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so many. And they are a huge problem. But I was so fucking mad that this thing had the balls to go into the garage.
Yeah.
And harass the kittens and Nog.
Oh, I know. You were furious.
So in rapid succession, I cocked, loaded, shot, and I put
4.
Yep, 4 total into that son of a bitch. 3 more times. And then, after it was done twitching, had to pull the bolts out, and the 2 that are stuck in the wall I had to clip and get this thing off. Anyway.
This is such a gruesome story.
Well, I mean, this is life. With all the shit that's going on in the world, this is fucking hardly nothing.
In the sticks.
Yeah, this is what they can do in the Disney parade at night. So anyway, in the process of doing all this, trying to get the raccoon out of it, because it was, like I said, back behind all this shit, don't want to move too much because it's going to further disturb the nest. And kittens are like fucking going everywhere for the first time.
I know.
They're so cute.
Underfoot. We're like, please stop.
I'm picking them up, handing them to you, trying to go back to it, and then like, here, another one.
Well, the second I'd put one down, another one's crawling over my foot, and I'm like, guys, please stop.
And Nog's, she's upset.
Mm-hmm.
She is a good mama.
She is a good mama.
Every day we go out there for cigarettes and stuff, she's in the corner there, just purring away, keeping them comfortable, and yeah. So anyway, finally got the thing, bagged it up, drove out into the far upper field, down to the end, threw it in the what can only be described
the raccoon graveyard.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's I don't know what we up to. That would make.
Well, it was 8 last year, and we're at 6 this year.
We're at 6 already?
Yeah.
Did we change it for 2025?
Yeah.
Because we had 8, I thought, the first year.
We didn't tabulate the first year.
Oh, that's right. I don't know. Anyway, more than a dozen of these fuckers are rotted out there over the last couple of years. So anyway. Had a cigarette, came back, and it's just like, God damn it.
We're like, it's so late now. Do we record?
Yeah, but gonna get it done. So if I'm still amped because I'm just furious. They're ferals and stuff, but they trust us enough. She trusts us enough to leave when we're in there with her babies, so she can go do her thing and then come back. And God, I just put up with enough shit and everything going on in this world. I'd be goddamned if one of these fucking raccoons is going to harm any of these cats or these kittens. So I unloaded on that son of a bitch. And I don't feel bad about it.
No.
I did the first few times. I felt really bad. But it had to be done. But now I'm just like, no, this is just like any pest control. I'm sorry. I don't care. Who's where first. This is my home. This is my domain. You are not welcome. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not shooting deer. I'm not shooting possum. We love the possums.
Right. And we're not out actively hunting them.
No, it's when they come up too close.
And not just that, but when they come up repeatedly.
Right.
Every single one of those was a week's worth of us trying to chase them off. Trying to do other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they keep coming, and we were really hot about it because Husker was a puppy and I didn't want anything to happen to him, out there. And we had a couple of them that were not well at all because it was broad daylight and they were walking humpbacked and,
and growling at everything.
Yeah. So put them down. I mean, that's what you got to do. So after washing my hands, making some flavored water to come down here.
Here we be.
I
knew you had to get it out of your system.
I do have to get it out of my system. I think that's good for what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this week we're going to be talking about a movie. Spoiler. We didn't finish it.
No, we did not.
We couldn't. We physically just could not finish it. And I am super disappointed.
Yeah.
Super disappointed because we were so jazzed at the trailer.
I was so excited about this shark. I was so excited. This graveyard shark.
Well, in the trailer, you could plainly see it was practical. It wasn't a CGI thing. And there was a lot of blood in the trailer. It looked like it was going to be fun. Graveyard Shark is the movie we're going to be talking about. Because I'm flipping through and I'm like, Graveyard Shark, you got to see what's up. The trailer? Yeah.
How can you not watch it?
We watched it. I looked at her and I'm like, we're doing this one. This is the next one. Yeah. But we'll talk about why. We didn't. Same as the other ones, really. It
cross lines.
Yeah, I think this is the third one that we didn't finish.
Yeah,
because we just couldn't. It is the third one. Was the dude with those weird like stone house things, but we started watching it. We were so bored.
Yeah, so
bored that we had to stop. It's like, oh, can't. Second one was that nun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that one was just
Too much.
boring and just, yeah. Anyway, so we'll get to this one. All right. B-siders, welcome to the horror episode of Bravo for the B-side. Maybe we should just stop and re-record.
Graveyard shark. Why don't you?
I'm talking about the raccoon story. Oh shit. Okay.
Shall we just get into this?
Yes. All right. This week's movie, Graveyard Shark, done in 2024, directed by Matthew A. Peters, written by Matthew A. Peters, starring Stephanie Ward, Michael John Gilbert, Burndell March. No rating. The budget is unknown, but I did make a note that they had an Indiegogo campaign, a finishing campaign to raise $5,000 to create a bunch of practical effects for the ending, which we never saw and will not. So I don't even know if it was worth it. They did get the money.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they did with it. Okay. So our log line, or the plot, renowned cryptid hunter Abby investigates the terrifying urban legend of the graveyard shark, a humanoid creature stalking its prey in Willsboro Point's graveyard. Teaming up with survivors, she uncovers the creature's dark origins. I mean, it was, kind of on point up until.
I guess.
Okay, do you want to bring us in? I'm so goddamn mad about that raccoon.
I'm just watching you, and I know.
If it had hurt one of those kittens, I'd be out there right now hunting these motherfuckers down.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did. Was I made sure there was no blood on the kittens.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fine, but
I was worried for a second because one was missing, but it was just hiding in a different area.
Yeah, I have to say, I know we just need to get into this, and I just got to say, I'm just so enraged because I really, really care about all these cats.
Yeah,
I know, and the possums, the things that are supposed to be here and don't cause problems and actually help, because those cats keep this place free of mice like you wouldn't believe. And it's like nature's thing. We've had some of them wander off and not come back. You found one that didn't quite make it through a storm or something, hid under a wood pile way over, and just.
I mean, they've come and gone. Lots of them have gone missing.
Right, but we have the original squad. We have Sassy, right, and then of course Omelet, who showed up soon after
randomly.
Yeah, and it's been sticking. But anyway, I care for these things, and I'm just really angry. I'm not angry about a raccoon in the garage. If it weren't for the cats, we could have opened the door and just bullied it out, right? But no, this thing was fucking with creatures that I have to take care of.
Defenseless 3-week-old kittens.
Yeah, and a tiny mom.
Yeah, they're all very small cats. These ferals, I mean, we abut against a wildlife area. There's a lot of land out here.
Yeah, and we deal with coyotes. We deal with maybe mountain lions, cougars, whatever. Bobcats. There's supposed to be a den around here.
There is.
But we haven't seen one yet, which is fine.
I saw one.
When?
Like a year and a half ago. I thought I told you about it. It was at the woods down near Moore's place.
You did not.
No?
No. Okay. Well, anyway, so we have that to contend with.
Okay.
All this stuff. But anyway, so the cats have it hard enough. And the fact that it started with one cat, had a litter, and they just, over time we could catch some, get them fixed, but they kept going.
Yeah, we did trap, neuter, release several.
Yeah, and we've gotten rid of 9 cats in the last 2 years from 2 different litters. And 3 of which we kept.
Homed, and
there are indoor cats. I'm allergic to these fucking things. I'm really not big on cats. But the whole thing, and I've mentioned it before, is living here, we have a duty of care.
Mm-hmm.
To the animals that we invite to do things for us, we need to take care of them. We feed them enough so that they stick around. So I got to take care of them. Watch
Yeah.
out for the well-being, you know. I'm just imagining in my head going full nuclear. I mean, just fucking Joel in the hospital and walks through that. Take a week off of work and just keep walking through the fucking woods with chaps and high boots and just look for dens and warrens and whatever and just kill every goddamn masked furry thing I find.
Oh, honey.
Oh. And I'm not that kind of person.
No, I know.
You know, I felt so bad about the possum. They just got scared and they're like, oh, dude, don't run that way. Come on, go. You know.
Go.
Okay.
All right.
Why don't you bring us in and I'm going to sit here and listen and be mad until it's my turn.
Okay.
Okay.
So, at the beginning, we have some people breaking into a gated cemetery at night. Talking about the big bad graveyard shark. One of the girls asks, what's the graveyard shark? As if it isn't pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it does ask a question, though.
It does. It's like giant beehive, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's two words you don't ever expect.
Yeah.
To come together in a sentence.
What is that? The other, so it's two boys and two girls. The other girl is not into hearing about it. And then just they pop out a whole bunch of exposition right away.
Yeah.
People have been found dead and there have been reports of a graveyard shark are essentially the thing.
Well, and this is supposed to go back like...
It's like a giant shark.
Like years. And I mean, like way back. They talked about it like it was, you know, folklore level history.
Yeah. Anyway, so a fisherman caught the nasty thing and buried it in the graveyard. That's the origin story of it.
Yeah.
And apparently the plan of these people, I think they're supposed to be teens, but they don't super look like teens. But I wasn't going to be mean about it.
Well, they're 30-year-old teens.
Yeah.
So
30-year-old teens.
Yeah.
Apparently their plan is to have sex in the graveyard.
Yeah.
And then we see a fin.
Bobbing between headstones.
Yeah. And one of the guys gets dragged away. Not sure where the second couple went off to. I didn't catch the split, I guess.
Well, so the dude that got pulled into the weeds, his girlfriend is sitting up against a tree with her like eyes closed.
Yeah.
Saying, just come fuck me already.
It's very strange. And then a very buff shark man with a leather vest comes out.
Yes.
It's amazing. How did you describe this thing?
This thing looks like a He-Man character. It's got an 18-pack.
Amazing. Yeah, it's an abnormal, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember in like the 90s when there were a ton of kid shows where the main characters were all really ripped? Like
just everything.
Animal people.
Everything in the 80s.
Yeah.
That began with He-Man.
Yeah.
And then we had Thundercats. Mm-hmm. And because of Thundercats, we had all these animal shows, right?
Yeah.
Animal weird things.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're called abnormals.
Abnormals. I love it. And then it has like a mini hammerhead shark.
Right. It is roughly hammerhead shaped.
Yeah.
But the hammer sides are significantly shorter than one would expect.
Right.
They're there, but they're kind of nubby.
I would suspect it had a lot to do with the design and being and wearing it. Because you had commented, you could see the guy breathing in it.
Yeah.
Because it would cave in and pop out.
Yeah. They did a pretty good job of not doing that during takes, but every now and then it was kind of breathy.
Yeah, you
know. Anyway, this shark is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The other couple hears some noise, and then the guy goes to check it out. He sees the head of the first girl, and then the shark gets him.
Mm-hmm.
So we're down to last kid, final girl, is running almost to the gate. And the shark's head is so tiny as he's running. Big shark guy. I love it. It just looked like you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, during that running bit,
Mhm.
she, of course, trips over nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Super duper trope number 1.
Yes.
Bam.
So he gets the final girl too, and then roars.
And I noted so much blood. Not bad.
Yeah.
And there was copious amounts of blood. It was great. Continue.
So then there is this like handheld cam sort of video of a woman talking about how she investigates the strange and bizarre. It's not a great video. She clearly hates it as they're watching it back. And we learn that she majored in cryptozoology. And as she's talking about it, she calls it a pseudoscience. Totally unprompted.
Right?
And I'm like, if you're a cryptozoologist, though, you don't call it a pseudoscience. It's a science. But okay. And while she's talking to her videographer, a woman, apparently Dr. Jin, walks in and asks them to investigate the graveyard shark. She says recently 4 teenagers, I put teenagers in quotes, disappeared. She leads a survivor support group for the graveyard shark attacks.
Yes.
So the cryptozoologist woman agrees to do it. And then they're in a car listening to a radio report about the teens going missing or dying.
Mm-hmm.
And they stop at this building that's got a ton of missing person posters on the door. Easily like a dozen, right?
Yeah.
Greg is her videographer's name. Dr. Jin is in this building, leading the survivor group, and introduces Abby as the monster hunter. Abby is our cryptozoologist.
Yes.
So then there's this woman, and she tells this incredible story. Her name is Chip, where she was going to propose to her girlfriend during a picnic in the graveyard. Such a romantic proposal space.
Well, it seemed to work.
I don't know.
Well, she proposed and basically...
I suppose the girlfriend said yes, didn't she?
Yeah. And then her girlfriend Ginger basically says it's sex time.
Yeah.
Because they're engaged.
So she starts to undo her dress, and then the shark attacks. And it's pretty gruesome.
It is, again, so much blood.
Yes.
Yeah. And pretty good quality.
It is. It's fun.
For practical stuff.
After her story, Jen reminds all of the people in the support group of their motto: I'm not prey, I'm a survivor, and I will not be eaten.
There's just so much about that. I actually had you stop it. Because I was in the middle of, I was, catching up to myself. And I wanted to do that too. Get that in here. God.
Oh, man. So then this other girl tells a story about how she was doing a spooky Halloween modeling shoot. And the shark got her, and this was in the graveyard, of course, and the shark killed her photographer. And the humor already at this point, I write, is pretty flat. Like, I'm not finding this very funny.
No.
Then a stoner is telling a whole story. I wrote, it's not important.
Yeah, no, it was a long roll.
Mm-hmm. It's actually, I don't even think it's related to the graveyard shark. What I have written here is it kind of feels like this was written in a vacuum where they certainly thought it was funny, but they were wrong.
Yeah. Well, So the one story that it went on way too long,
Mhm.
and it was a joke that the stoners like they're asked, "What does this have to do with the graveyard shark?" Huh? What's a graveyard shark?
Right.
Ha 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 ha! Funny.
Yeah, it wasn't,
But
though.
no, it was painful
Yeah.
to go through just
Mhm.
to have it land flat as a just cheaply presented joke.
Yeah. So then a very loud man walks in and begins
Yes.
yelling at them about how he warned them, all the stupid white folks. Uh, he's incredibly vulgar. He then steals the donuts and leaves.
Now, hold on.
Well, so that's all I could write about his speech. So,
Well, that's a speech, but he looks like a longshoreman.
okay.
The lady calls him Captain Isaac. Yeah, he steals the donuts. Everyone, looks like they just had their nuts slapped. And Dr. Jen's just all calm. She's like, "Oh, that's just Captain Isaac. He comes in every week and pulls this bullshit." She's explaining it to Abby and Greg. And I think he does it for the donuts when he steals the donuts.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So then Abby says that when she was a little girl, her dad got killed in front of her by a monster. So that's why she has dedicated her life to studying monsters and getting answers.
Yes. Okay, so Abby gets Dr. Jen to take her to the scene of the crime, the four kids. Then goes on about how it might be mass hysteria, but Abby wants to find the truth. So she charges in, telling Gray to get the camera ready. They start to shoot a video introducing the I'm just going to say the GS.
Sure.
Well, because graveyard shark, it's just, I know what I'm talking about. So I'll just say GS. Dr. Jin's phone rings. She walks off to take the call. GS is watching. Then for no reason, there's smoke coming from like several different places. That's the problem when you have low budget smoke effects outside. It happens. That's cool. But I just don't know why in broad fucking daylight we have smoke.
Right.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, bam, there he is.
Yep.
Abby and Gray hear Dr. Jin scream. GS is eating her and then ripping her side open. And I will say the casting and or performance choices, maybe both, are not terrific.
No.
Or good. Or okay. And I finally landed on or passable. We'll get on to that in a bit. They find the doctor with her entrails all over, and she's spurting blood like a garden hose. I loved it. And then she dies.
Right.
And then you cut to her getting zipped up in a body bag. So the sheriff is grilling Abby about why they were trespassing. A deputy pulls him aside, and then he's back, says, all evidence shows a bear attack. And since they didn't see anything, just heard a growl, it must be a bear.
Right.
Because Abby and Greg didn't actually see GS. So Abby asks about all of the shark attacks in the area. This is so weirdly wild. So the sheriff asks how a shark is supposed to survive without water. And then he takes a video camera for evidence.
Right.
This is supposed to be a fishing village.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't want to just blast my mic, but
I can tone that down.
I was so mad when we were watching. There's a fishing captain. We met a fishing captain.
Yep.
Abby has said multiple times, this is a little fishing village. Many people have said multiple times, this is a little fishing village. And this sheriff looks at her and he goes, do you see any water around here?
I know. And the closest bit they have is like a little like tiny Finger Lake.
Right.
And anyone who's lived near a contained lake, there's no fishing villages there. I mean, this is the kind of thing you could, if you're like even a passable swimmer, you could swim across it.
This is basic believability.
Yeah, I mean, it's like maybe not even 200 yards wide. This is their body of water that they're supposed to be fishing from. And the town's nowhere fucking near it. So, and where they were, when they showed that shot, there's no fucking docks. I mean, there's no nothing.
No.
Nothing.
I
love that you were so mad.
I was so pissed.
Okay. So anyway, sheriff takes the video camera for evidence. And after Abby leaves, the sheriff tells his deputies to clean up and not fuck up like last time. They argue, the deputies argue, and then the woman deputy hits on him. And before you know it, they're fucking. And then here's GS. And the smoke. Again.
You wrote so much more than I did. I was already done with this movie.
So the lady deputy, we'll get to that too. The lady deputy handcuffs the dude deputy to a log and just starts fucking him. Right? All right.
Sure.
Fine. You know, went on for a lot longer than I
quite a long
think
time.
It should have. I don't think anyone would disagree.
No.
That, you know, in movie making, we get it. Can we move on to the next event? And then we get the next event. GS is just watching for a bit. Then we cut to the hotel room where Abby is staying. She is covered in lots of blood, way more so than when she was in the last scene, having been near the dead body that was spouting blood, right? Okay. Continuity, we'll talk about that. Is what it is. What's his name? Gary?
Greg.
They changed it to all kinds of stuff. So Greg is listening to the radio show about GS and doing some research. Abby takes a shower. Then we get a flashback of her as a kid with her dad in the woods. So guess where this is going. We hear a growl. She runs off. It's a werewolf. She screams. In the shower, she's screaming. Greg comes in. What's going on? Opens it, sees her naked. She has a fit, yells at him. And then we cut back to the deputies. They're done. Seemed like they both had a good time. Lady deputy is stalling, uncuffing the dude. GS is still watching. And then suddenly he's there. We just got a shot of him.
Yes.
Right? And then all of a sudden, he's like fucking Jason. He's there. Gets the lady deputy, bites her tit.
Yeah, eating her tit.
Yeah, there is a massive amount of blood. And then he's gone. And then he's back all of a sudden.
Right.
And then he kills the other deputy. And then we cut back to the hotel. Supposed to be a humorous scene about the uncomfortable shower situation. It was nothing but painful. She has a message on their fan page.
Inviting them to a pub.
I warned you, blah, 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 blah. Come to O'Brien's club tonight. All will be revealed. Greg doesn't want to go. I don't know who he's supposed to be, but he has the worst fucking accent ever. Oh my God. He's supposed to be English.
Oh, yeah. He is bad.
Terrible. If he was English and that's how he spoke, that's why he's here in America. They kicked him out. Like, we can't have that. Get out. So anyway, Abby goes alone. So we're at the bar. She tells the bartender she's meeting someone in reference to the graveyard shark. And then all of a sudden the music stops in the place and everybody in the place is looking at her. So she leaves the bar, not the pub, leaves the bar, walks to the back. And you see Captain Isaac sitting at a table. And I just wrote a good guess, I suppose, as to who in the bar invited her.
Right.
It's just text on a web page. No names, no nothing. No, just meet me at the pub.
Right.
All right. So he tells her to get out of town. And then we get a small diatribe of I don't even know what.
Shark is bad.
Oh, God.
That's the gist.
So now I guess somehow it's his fault. He starts to tell the story. He finds a mermaid. Right. And yep, he fucks it. Then we have 70s porn music like starting, and then we get into him in the pub being disgusting with a lobster.
Abby asks him to stop telling the story.
Yeah, he won't. And we cut back to the mermaid, and it's just so painful for so many reasons. And then there is a custom, ludicrously stupid song playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any credibility this movie may have had was ruined by this captain character and this scene. The writing is this. I'm reading directly. This is where I checked out. I'm like, I'm not leaving this alone until I get some thoughts down. So lost any credibility with this captain and the scene. The writing is horrid. Performance is horrid. He's going on about tuna pussy. It's just gross.
Yeah.
It's just gross. So anyway, he's GS's dad. I don't care enough to record the details. At some point, he kills the mermaid, beats the baby shark thing to death, or I guess not death because it didn't die, buried it in the cemetery, and all to cover up the fact that he fucked a mermaid. Somehow GS came back to life. If any of this was supposed to be funny, the writers missed the mark by about 80 million miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last thing I wrote was, checked out for almost 10 minutes. It's that bad.
Okay. I have a little more.
You have a little more?
I have a little more.
Okay.
He tells his story. Abby asks him what he's going to do about it, and he says nothing. And then she says that she'll clean up his mess, and she leaves. And then we're back with the stoners from the support group.
Right.
And I wrote, there are too many characters in this movie. Abby runs into them. They also know the mermaid fucking story. They offer her a joint. And then we get a montage of the three of them that feels as pointless as everything else that's happened in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She then sees the woods and her dad, apparently a vision, where he tells her to believe in herself and destroy all monsters. And I just wrote, helpful.
Yeah.
And then she is in the hotel room, and I think Greg is dressed as a gorilla, but she's calling him Bigfoot. But she's into it, and we're going to get another clumsy sex scene.
Right.
And where it's apparently Bigfoot, and she's fisting him. And then I wrote, I'm done.
Yeah. Turns out it wasn't. It was just her with a gorilla mask or something. Because Greg was sitting, apparently he just sat there and watched it all go on. Because it wasn't him.
I don't know. I wrote, I'm done. And then I was not paying attention to the movie anymore.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean,
because we stopped about shortly after.
Yeah, I stopped taking notes, and that was like the whole thing. So, all right. So that's going to be the coverage of the movie, because we're not going to ever see the rest of it. But Lord, do I have some lessons.
Yeah.
Every movie has a lesson, B-siders. Remember that. Every movie.
We're going to talk about them.
Yes.
So the good.
Yes.
The shark. Awesome.
That's not even a cool enough word. It's a full body costume.
I know.
Just really excellent.
Yeah. So exciting.
And fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's like He-Man. He's, abdomal.
He's an abdomal. I like that resonates with you.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it was really original, know, and it worked. I mean, it brought us in from trailer to viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The rest of it didn't even matter to me in the trailer.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, look at that.
I was like, I don't care how bad the rest of it is, but apparently there is a line.
There is.
And we found it.
And we'll get to that.
The blood was excellent.
Yes. The practical effects for like the maulings and stuff, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, commendable,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, slightly on the inexpensive side, but it's an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
The one that we didn't get a lot of gore on was the tit.
No, there was gore.
Was there?
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it.
It was bloody.
I mean, there was bloody, but it wasn't like a big mangled missing tit or anything like
No, it
that.
was more like someone took a chunk out of a, silicone
Yeah,
mold
but
of a tit.
I expected a little more like torso damage.
Sure.
But, anyway.
I mean, like anatomy wise, inside a tit is really interesting. There's all the mammary glands and stuff. If you look at like a side cut in a medical,
Yeah.
textbook, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it should come across on screen. You're absolutely right.
Anyway. So the blood was good.
Mm-hmm.
And by good, I mean it wasn't like that bright red kind of, the really super cheap looking stuff
Right.
that you see mostly from some of the grindhouse
Watery
shit.
looking.
Yeah. And the late 60s, early 70s horror films, especially the vampire ones.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what's coming out of your mouth, but that cannot be blood. Because no creature has blood that looks like that. It's almost pink.
Yeah, it's like water with red dye in it, basically.
Yeah. But this was good.
Yeah, it was thick.
It was thick. It was dark. It clung. I mean, it really, I'm like, man, I want to see more people get torn up before this is over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah.
And because it was all practical, that was what made it so fun and so good.
Yes.
If it had been like CG, it's less impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone the route of Beaster Day.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was just so bad, like, wow. Birdemic level stuff.
Yeah.
Or Velocipaster.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of losing my train of thought here.
I know.
It's just, I'm trying to just like, my brain is expelling this.
So this is a lesson. Here's the lesson is that, high quality practical effects are excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, sometimes, and especially for us, that's all it takes to get us into a film.
Right?
If you have high quality practical effects, I'm in.
I mean, like I've sat through Tokyo Gore Police a dozen times at least.
Yeah.
Just because it's, blood spurting at 7,000 miles an hour through high pressure hoses.
I love it.
So stupid. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's the fun. Now, by high quality effects, they don't have to be mega expensive.
No.
Right? We have talked about so many times about blood. And, oh, shit. What was the Santa slasher? Slashing chicks and chopping dicks is the key phrase I gave it. It was one of the Santa horrors.
Yeah. All through the house.
All through the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that one we had commented on. They did really good because it was different types of blood depending on the wounds.
Yeah.
Like arterial wounds. Like one was on the leg and ripped out the artery, and that was super dark and just,
Terrifier.
Terrifier. Yes.
Excellent practical gore.
Yeah. But that is a super high level budget compared to what these people had. Clearly. Right. But that's the thing, right? Maybe the blood wasn't. It's not hard to make fake blood.
No.
It's just getting the consistency right. So if you've got Caro syrup, a little bit of water, and some dye, have two kinds of dye. Don't use so much red to make it red, right?
Yeah.
Put your red in, It's like, one drop of black.
Yep.
Or blue, depending if you want a little more purpley arterial look for it.
Right.
But it's inexpensive to do, but well done practical effects are people who take the time to do it. Clearly, they did the time here, or they had a budget and found a bunch of stage blood that fit the bill. That nothing wrong with that.
No.
They hit the mark on that.
Yes.
They hit the mark on the fucking shark outfit. That I almost want an action figure of that.
It was awesome.
I'll move Balin's skull and put it right up there next to a tiny T-Rex.
Yeah. Terrence Jr.
Yeah, TJ. So the concept, a shark that prowls around a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, well done for the notion, right? The whole thing is come up with something original.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how stupid it may sound or look on paper, because graveyard shark. I'm like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I don't mean stupid and like it's no good. It's just, silly, stupid fun. That's what we thought this was going to be.
Yeah.
And that is, if that had been the case, it's a home run, right?
It could have been called Dirt Shark, and I would have been like, sure.
Well, then I would have thought about Detectorists.
That's fine.
The Dirt Sharks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I like the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
Graveyard Shark. It's just silly enough to be a fun gore movie. Unfortunately, none of those things. I think that's the end of the good. The good.
Yeah, that's the end of it.
Well, I'll say the good thing is they ran, I don't know how many campaigns to fund this. I tried looking them up on Indiegogo, and I can only find the finishing campaign. The other ones were like just done and blocked off, which usually you can get to them. So I don't know.
Well, they may not have had campaigns until the finishing bit.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, folks, I want to apologize for the claggy voice. In addition to all the other shit going on, we have the wildfires from Canada blowing down this way, and they are tearing me up.
I know.
God.
It's bad. I'm claggy too.
Yeah. So anyway, what for? I just don't know how to say it. I guess they made a movie. Sure. They made their movie. All right. That is like lesson number one, whether we like it or not.
They did it.
Personally, someone made a movie, and there's plenty of multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollars budget films that were like,
yeah,
could have done without that.
I mean, there have been high budget films I walked out of the theater for, you know?
So let's get to the not so great lessons.
Okay. Why don't you start?
Well, I think number one, we both can agree, is the humor.
Yeah.
This was just
not humorous.
It wasn't funny.
No.
This was the worst kind of toilet humor that was just, it was endless. That whole bit went on for like 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
With him doing a pussy and fuck that and just it's vulgar, it's disgusting, and we're not Puritanists, right?
I mean,
I'll watch comedy horrors with fucking Ron Jeremy in them and making dick jokes and stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, Jay and Silent Bob is a lot of potty humor.
Yeah.
Right? It's very puerile.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Kevin Smith stuff.
Fucking love those guys.
Yeah. Because it's actually funny.
It is.
It doesn't cross the line where it assaults you with just so gross.
Yeah.
And that's what did it. I couldn't do it anymore because I did not see that ending.
No.
And I wasn't going to do it.
No, and it did. I mean, right after that was the fisting Bigfoot scene.
Yeah. And that was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, someone might appreciate this humor. Power to you.
Sure.
I think it's just disgusting. It's not at all funny. There wasn't even a chuckle. I laughed at the graveyard shark, not because he was doing anything funny, and not because it was laughable. I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, look at him go. Just a couple, came out. But the primary source behind this terrible fucking humor, not even juvenile, just like you said, puerile. And you had mentioned that. How did they get a black man to play this character? Because this black character was so
Captain Isaac.
Yeah, Captain Isaac was so. The presentation was so racist.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, the only thing missing was if they swapped him out for a white guy who put on blackface and did the whole, mammy bit and fucking just that. It was just that
I'm
one
a
last
hair's breadth away.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. You're an actor and you want to work, but I mean, I would look at a script like that and be like, "There's no goddamn way,
right?
I'm going to be like this and talk like this. What?
Right?
And we're not talking like hood talk or whatever, or super deep south,
No.
or even a period piece and stuff. I mean, those things. This was just wrong, and you picked it out when he came in
the first time.
Yeah. To steal the donuts and screaming. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was very
Why
upset
would he
by
play
it.
this?
Yeah. And you were like, we'll keep giving it a shot. Maybe it was
because I thought it was maybe supposed to be like super extreme.
Okay.
For, how they do that? They bring somebody in and they're just like super over the fucking top.
Yeah.
When you first meet them, and then it just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, no, not so.
Yeah, this wasn't it.
It just got worse as it went on.
Yeah. The lack of consistency. So we go from the old tales. So that shark has been there, what, 10 years? Maybe?
Right?
Maybe. I don't even think 20 years, because
20 we'll say would be the extent.
Let's split it down the middle. 15.
Okay.
Graveyard Shark maybe was a teenager. I don't know.
Could be.
I mean, it was teenage angst, having him just rip people apart.
Yeah, the leather jacket.
But like, it was being presented to us that it was just way back, like fucking 1800s and this and that. Why or how the shark didn't die when he beat it with a fucking shovel for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
On screen.
And then buried it.
Yeah, and then buried it, and somehow it's alive. But anyway. So that was, continuity, folks. If you come up with like an origin, stick with it. Because we went from them telling the tale of way back, and then this guy's like, yeah, I just fucked this bitch like, a few years ago, and oh yeah, she was a mermaid and all that gross shit.
It's not even about it's not about, person and mermaid being together, right?
No, the fucking history is replete with stories.
The Little Mermaid.
Of that whole
children's stories.
Oh my God.
But it was just gross.
It was. And it just made it, just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Just didn't want to do it anymore. So, when you're writing something that's supposed to be humorous, and if it's a silly horror movie, a serious horror movie, anything, especially a comedy, right? Be funny.
Right. Well, be funny.
Here's why I say it like that. So we were just on the phone a couple days ago with our friend Cliff Campbell, one half of the Writing Frenzy, creation. Well, 1/3, because Jeff came in after Writing Frenzy.
Right.
Yeah. Excuse me. And we were talking about a script that he had sent us to read over and give some notes on. And there was some goofiness in it. It was funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
And these guys are good at writing funny, like natural dialogue, funny things. The kind of funny, stupid shit that you and I do. We talked about it before. Those relationship bindings when in the writing, you have to believe that these people have these inside jokes and it works for them. Now, there's things that we do that we would not put in a script.
Right.
Because there's no context.
Yeah.
Right. Or things we say, but they do really well. And this was not it. But one of the reasons he wanted us. I don't even
want you to it's not even a comparison.
No, it's not a comparison. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to write something funny, I'm not comparing it to this fucking movie. I'm saying for the writing purposes, he wanted, he was curious what other people would think
of the
of the
jokes. And
goofiness
yeah.
for two of the characters, these brothers, who are not serious about life at all. And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. And he was relieved.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to try and do something that's funny, you've got to have somebody who is not involved, somebody who's not like up your ass every day of your life. You need to get somebody who can give an objective opinion on, yeah, this is funny. This is funny. Now,
Yeah. Just ask other people.
yeah, caveat.
Okay.
Maybe he did, and maybe they liked it. Because again, there are some people who are going to enjoy this humor, right? I like Three Stooges. You do not.
Right.
Right? I grew up with it, but you know, I whatever the reasons, I liked it. Physical comedy is great because being in a house with all those people, there was a lot of those kids were just smacking and slapping and punching.
Yeah.
So seeing it happen
That's
there is funny.
slapstick.
Yeah.
Slapstick isn't super my bag.
Right. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm big into all those old guys and all back into the old silent film stuff. Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin was much more than just slapstick.
Well, yeah, and these guys weren't necessarily slapstick. It's just that it's a form of comedy people don't understand today.
Sure.
You don't see often. But I mean, if he did and they checked it off on it and said, yeah, I think this is fucking funny as hell, what do you do? Right? Okay, so this movie is for these kinds of people with these sensibilities for humor.
Sure.
But either way, check.
Ask more people though.
Well, yeah, ask a few people.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be reading some other scripts for folks and giving notes and, working with the rewrites, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you get the best you can. Now, we have sent scripts to agents and managers and stuff. We've gotten really good stuff back on them. They're not going to get through the whole Almost Made It story again, but
no, we've already had enough hurt for one evening.
Yeah. So have people do a table read, because that's one thing. Cliff, he's talking about how Marty just like, what the fuck are you doing? Because Cliff shows up with like new scripts, handing them out. Because yesterday he just, nope, that's not working. Rewrote shit that night and shows up at the next shoot. But you know what? That is how they do it. That's why.
And that happens on, Hollywood scripts.
Well, it does. That's why they have the colored pages, right? For revisions and what are today's pages. And you don't hand out whole scripts.
No.
You hand out the pages for the scene for today to the different everyone, and they're going to be different colors after the initial script. Blue, pink, goldenrod.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it'll have on their revision, blah, 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 blah. Now, indie film, I don't know if they do that a whole lot, but that is a huge thing in normal Hollywood productions because that's part of what the guilds call for.
Right.
Right. So there's no bullshit. And it makes sense. It makes sense. But have people look over your stuff. Do table reads. Do, find 5 people that that you trust that are going to like send your shit off. Send it to them and say, please be honest, And that's one thing with Cliff and with everybody.
And then David take feedback.
Yeah. Take the feedback at face value, right? It's not personal.
You don't have to take all of it.
And you don't have to take all of it, but understand and then take that feedback and re-examine those pieces of the script. Look at it and be like, okay. And if you're like, I don't see that, okay, then you're fine with it, right? It's ultimately up to you. But your goal should be to make the best story that you can, right?
Yeah.
So, just take the notes, see if they work, make the changes. I mean, it's fucking computers these days, except for George R.R. Martin, who prints his shit out on a dot matrix, apparently. Copy the fucking file, rewrite that section, see how it looks. And then give that to a couple different people. Give them 2 copies of like a section. So how does this read?
Yeah.
Which one reads better? Anyway. But yeah, if you're gonna do humor, be fucking funny.
Be
This was
funny.
this was off. We are very accepting of a lot of humor.
Yeah.
This just wasn't it.
I mean, I'll go back to Terrifier. It's not necessarily funny. Some of it's pretty funny. Maybe it's not supposed to be funny, and I find it funny. Maybe I'm strange, but um, lots of people think those movies are too much in terms of gore.
Yeah, people were walking out of Terrifier 3.
You know, and I understand. I understand why people would think that. I get it. It is a lot. I happen to enjoy it. For me, there cannot be too much gore. There cannot possibly be.
Right.
How dare you even insinuate such a thing?
Yeah.
But there are lots of people for whom that is not their cup of tea. And maybe that's the same with this humor. I don't know. But I personally, if I knew someone who had this kind of humor, I would make an effort to no longer know that person.
Do you remember when we were flipping through and we saw that show? It was on the top. We stopped on something. And it started playing the trailer on the top. Martyrs. It was a young woman running down, looked like a old industrialized dock area. You know, there's like buildings over here and you can see like open, and she is fucked up in many different ways.
Sure.
Right. And
Okay,
just
like,
kind of going, you made a comment like, Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Well, I had watched that one night.
Mm-hmm.
And weirdly, after seeing that, now things are coming up like on feeds and stuff about different movies, and that one has hit a lot of lists on people can't stomach it. It was fucking hard. I mean, it was almost like a snuff film level bullshit. Yeah, they took like made Grindhouse look like fucking Sesame Street, you know.
It makes me want to watch this.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, and I did. I wasn't grossed out by it. It was uncomfortable because when you watch something, this isn't funny. There's no humor in this fucking movie. But you know, it's with any good horror, you're like, God, what must that be like?
Yeah.
Right? This is intense.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can't handle that. That's true. There are some people who don't like dick jokes. There are people who don't like Blake Edwards movies. Right? There are people who don't like Big Mel. Yeah. Right? Mel Brooks. Spaceballs 2 is coming out, by the way.
I know.
Yeah. See?
Mel Brooks isn't for everybody.
He isn't, and that's fine. That's fine. If everything was for everyone, we wouldn't have a podcast. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have like rising indie stars. We wouldn't have good indie versus, you know, just phoning it in. It would just be the same movie all the way around, and everyone would be like, oh, cool. You know, that's not how it is.
No.
Do you have anything you want to touch base on?
Yeah, I do actually.
Sure.
It pales in comparison to the humor, which is, I think, you know, the absolute worst part of that movie, because everything else I could overlook.
Mm-hmm.
The bad acting.
Yes.
The bad framing, bad cinematography, bad lighting, bad everything else except for the effects.
Okay, can I touch on? Well, keep going.
Bad sound.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amateur hour. The whole situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not judgmental of those things. You want to make a movie, you make a movie. That's awesome. Power to you. But if you want to make a good movie, those are all things that you need to think about. You can't just focus on dope effects.
Right.
To the detriment of everything else.
Well, that's the thing, right? So we've talked about no budget films are going to have just the worst of everything because they got no money to get stuff. But we've always been able to tell when somebody did the very best they could.
Earnest effort,
especially in post, trying to clean shit up. But this thing looked like it was shot with like 8 different types of cameras on 4 different types of film. And maybe one was digital, but they shot it in, you know, like 480 by 120.
The color jumped everywhere all
Oh
the
my
time, constantly.
God, there was no consistency in color.
No.
No. Like David did, and we talked about it Without Name.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Without Name,
Yeah.
right? David does the same thing. There's like color for the outside, and then there'll be a slight color shift if you pay attention when you watch it long enough. And same in Primal Games. The tone's different because the tone of the movie is different.
Right.
Or these are the same similar situations, inside or outside. It's a tonal difference from the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because that's how you play with shit, right? It's
yeah. But it was just that it was disappointing because this movie felt so fucking sloppy.
Sloppy is a good word.
In every aspect.
Yeah, the sound was all over.
Except for the practical effects.
We had some shaky cam. We had some steady cam. No attempt to crop shots.
No.
Right? No attempt to vary. Is it tight? Is it wide? Is it, above, below? A couple of them, like in the hotel, it was almost like they just like laid it on the chair.
It's like the first time anyone ever touched a camera.
Yeah. Again, you don't have to be a camera expert, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But like everything else, if you're going to write A, B, C, the 3 tenets of telling a story, fucking know them, master them, and then fiddle around with shit. Mm-hmm. You're going to make a movie. Jesus Christ, read a book. That's why we do this podcast. Listen to people talking about it. There's YouTube out there, people who actually give lessons on stuff and how to do this stuff. We're like, if you got $2.50, I'm going to show you how to save two of those dollars and get the same effects for the 50 cents. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a lot of effort in this. The writing is just kind of all over the place. It's like, I don't know if they're making jokes. I don't know if they're talking to each other or expositing, talking to themselves.
I'm not really sure.
And a couple of things would pop up. It's like, what does this have to do with anything?
I mean, it's you heard my notes. They were so unenthusiastic, like right from the get-go.
Yeah. It just wasn't. I mean, okay. We don't have a studio, right?
Right.
We don't have access to a big studio soundstage. We don't have access to even like a frame studio where you build your own little sets over and over, right? But we could do better. Their fucking like cryptozoologist, cryptid hunter office was they made the office on a fucking porch.
Yeah.
A screened in porch. You couldn't find a fucking room anywhere. The hotel room would have made a better office.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have to have shown them staying in. The only reason they showed them in the hotel is 1, so he could see her tits, and 2, so she could fist fucking Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's nothing happened in that room that lent itself to the story.
No.
Right?
And I don't know how it ended. I don't know where that $5,000 from Kickstarter went, but I hope that it didn't go into that Sasquatch scene.
Well, no, it was for the end.
Yeah.
Big thing.
I don't know.
I'm not curious enough to find out.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, the sound. It's the same thing. You can, these days, it's inexcusable to have better sound than the built-in microphone on whatever low-end camera that you've got, right? Because every one of these motherfuckers had a phone.
Yep.
Right? So every motherfucker had a phone. All those people in that group, the doctor, people on the fucking streets, the deputies, right? Everybody you could see had a phone doing something with it when they shouldn't really be.
No.
All right. So if you had 15 phones on screen, you have 15 fucking cameras.
Well, 15 microphones.
And you have 15 microphones. Good microphones. Because most of these were iPhones.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, some were, Samsung. But, these are high-end phones. Mm-hmm. They have good microphones.
They do.
There's no reason you can't put the voice recording app on, and you can, for under $10, you can buy a cheap lav mic, right? Yep. And just clip it under the shirt and then put the sound together. Because it was all shot on digital.
Yes.
You could tell. It was just, but God, yeah, just everything was bad. I mean, it's hard to make things look super bad on digital, but this did.
Yeah, just sloppy. Put some effort in. That's the other lesson I wanted to make sure to bring up.
Yeah, read a book.
Yeah.
We didn't, we've written for a long time, but we didn't write scripts.
No, we both wrote. We both wrote books.
Yeah, well, I wrote multiple short stories,
Mm-hmm.
had some published, wrote that giant fucking novel that was 900 pages way back in the early 90s. And, programmed through Del Rey, got close to publishing it. They cut it down to 180 pages.
I wrote and burned everything that.
And they went under, but, have been writing since. But then we met and stuff, and the idea came up, it was presented, there should be a movie. And we're like, how do you write a fucking script?
Yeah.
So what do? Bought a big fat fucking book.
The Bible.
Script Writer's Bible.
Yeah.
We got 2 versions of it because the 6th version had just come out. We bought the 5th version, 5th edition.
Yeah.
And read it and read it and read it and read it. It was 6 months before we put a word to paper or a word to the script because we went over this thing and reached out to the author.
We did, yeah. And he was nice enough to answer our email.
Yeah. Well, a couple of times had questions. In the book it says this, using this example, this movie example from this scene, how would you say
that on
this?
paper?
How does this go on paper without it being a shooting script? Because we write spec scripts. We don't write shooting scripts because that's not up to us.
Right.
Unless we're doing our own thing. Yeah. We put in that work because we're serious about doing it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. And if you do it right, that helps make it good.
Yeah.
Because then you can see when things don't fit. Anyway, put in the time, folks.
Yeah,
put in the time.
Effort.
We're not talking about money. We're not talking about high-end stuff. We're talking about do the best you can with the stuff you got. And the only way you do that is actually putting in the time and the effort.
Yep. Make an effort.
Make an effort. I think should be a shirt.
I'm sure it is.
We can add it to the list with slashing chicks and chopping dicks.
Yeah.
So, Graveyard Shark. For us, a vault of lessons on what not to do with a small basket of kudos. Practical effects, the blood, the costume, that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
Right? As best you can.
Mm-hmm.
As best you can. If you're going to make a zombie movie and you have no money, you can at least afford $5 for that stupid Halloween makeup pack that's always in this, the cheap shit.
Paint someone's face green, put bags under their eyes, maybe a little blood on their mouth. They're zombies.
Right? Or even just the circles around the eyes.
Yeah.
If you just get a canister thing, you know what? You did what you could.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we've seen a couple where there's nothing.
I know.
Just someone going, I can't even click.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to support.
No effort.
Yeah. Absolute laziness. Too many people are trying too hard to give that a pass.
Yeah.
But also again, people aren't going to like your shit. They aren't. They just aren't. Others will, but there's always going to be the group that doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. That's the business.
Yeah.
That's the business. I was just talking about, I just want to share this. This might have been common knowledge, but I heard this on the radio of all things.
Okay.
When I made the dump run.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, to get tortillas.
Oh.
Because we forgot them. So I was listening to one of the stations, and for some reason, they were playing the Feeling Strong, from Rocky.
Sure.
And then the guy was talking about how Rocky got made. Now, I know Sylvester Stallone wrote the script. I know he shopped it around. I know he said, I'm going to be in it. And he got turned down by tons and tons of people till someone finally said, yes, that's kind of the thing, right? What I did not know was that he was very good friends with Henry Winkler back then, and who was, you know, just getting to the height of his fame as the Fonz.
Right.
Okay. He happened to have a friend who was sort of a Midland producer, gave it to him, and this guy gave him the script, and this guy like marched it past all the gatekeepers and
straight to the top.
Yep, straight to the top. He's like, we have a fucking movie here. And
yeah.
Rocky.
Rocky.
There's avenues, and there's avenues. Find people who can help you. I don't, this was just really super disappointing. This could have been really a lot of fun. But that humor thing, too many bad things.
Yeah.
Too many bad things. Some of it was mumbly, couldn't hear it. And yeah. Anyway.
Not good.
Things to learn. I do want to end by saying, today wasn't like a total shit day. Actually, it was actually a really good day.
It was a great day up until the raccoon.
Until the raccoon situation. We had to drive all the way into Madison because Lily got her septum pierced.
Yeah, for her birthday. She was so excited.
Yeah, well, it's a little late, but we had to schedule and make it so we could do it. But yeah, she's been waiting patiently.
She has.
She got it pierced. She is so fucking delighted. While we were in Madison, we also took her guitar that's having some problems to this really awesome dude who got everything fixed up before we even left Madison. But then he said he discovered the volume knob was completely broken. It spins, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, on her semi-acoustic.
Yeah, and so he wasn't gonna be able to at least get that done today. And we were already like, we don't need it back today. If you do, cool. So he's gonna take next week and a half because that's when I'm gonna be able to go next.
Right.
Back up there. So she's very thrilled. Her guitar is gonna be brought back, just banging.
Yeah.
So that was a good day. We avoided the protests.
We did.
Because her piercing was at a tattoo shop in downtown Madison.
And I support the protests.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This country doesn't need any kings.
No.
But, we had other things to do today that we had to do.
Well, there was stuff that needs to get done. And Madison is a hard place to be in with protests because it's on an isthmus. The downtown is on an isthmus. And when there's that many people and stuff, you can't get anywhere. There's no way to get out or around.
There are 2 ways in and out of the isthmus.
Yeah. And those are the ones that get jammed up.
Yep.
So also I didn't want to get caught up in it because the way protests have been going, it only takes one asshole, right? Like when we had COVID here, it was just fucking wild. Riots. Instead of protests, they turn into riots. And I've got my wife and my daughter out there. I just don't want to risk it, So we were glad that it didn't start till after we were gone. Again, fully support, fully behind it, because this motherfucker's got to go, and that's as political as I'll get, because that's not what this podcast is about. But so it was a good day. Then the raccoon thing. And then we had to talk about this movie. And you know what? If you hear us talk about more stuff, you know where you can find it?
lordsofmisrollproductions.com.
That's right.
Everything is there.
Do the stuff. Not even going to go through the list. Everything's there. Do the stuff. Click the links. Listen to the things. Please rate. Please review. Please subscribe. If you click on one of the Patreons, please sign up. Become a patron.
Help us maybe break even.
Yeah.
On doing this podcast.
Yeah. It's not like we have $5,000 a month in production costs, No. We have, which is really, it's stupidly expensive between the hosting of the website and then the hosting of the files so that you can marry them together and stuff. Shit adds up every month.
It does.
We could do the free ones, but I don't. I'd like it to sound a little better, and I don't fucking need AI to help me. If this Poundcast, Jesus Christ, Poundcast. If this podcast sounds like shit, I've said it before, it's all on me. It's because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm still not an audio engineer. I'm doing the best I can. I didn't hear clicks in the Primal Games episode.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you heard any when you listened. Those little pops.
No.
So I don't know what I did. Maybe a combination of fucking about. We'll see how this one comes. But it would be nice to, even pull in like, $40 a month would be helpful. $100 a month would pay a bunch of stuff and, allow us to do some little fun things.
Extra stuff.
And I'm not saying each of you donate $100. I'm saying if we can reach $100 in donations each month.
Total.
Not that fucking greedy. Then we can do some more fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even license some things from folks and give them as, gifts and stuff. Anyway, do all the things.
Yes.
We would appreciate it. And
that's it.
That's it.
That's all.
Until next time when we talk about another movie. Don't know yet what it's going to be.
We haven't figured it out yet, but we will.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, B-Siders, Stanny.
And this is Jim.
Bye.